All right, you guys, let us talk about how we can put an image into Illustrator and use the pen tool to trace around that image so that we can use a traced image in a project that we're trying to create. So we'll start by creating a new file. I like to go to print so I can choose letter, switch to inches, 8.5 by 11. For this, I'm going to go ahead and choose portrait and click create. Then from here, I'm going to go search for an image. Now I've already done this, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this Spider-Man image to trace around. Okay, and we're just going to do a very simple trace of this. Now I can do two things to get this image into Illustrator. The first would be to right-click the image and choose Copy Image. Come back to my Illustrator and hit Control V as in victory. I'm going to hold down Alt and scroll down so I can zoom out. And then I will go ahead and hold down the Shift key while I resize my image and place it on my picture, on my document. Okay, now please notice that I did not stretch it. You don't want to distort your imagery because it'll just look incorrect. From here, I'll hit Control 0 to fill my screen again. Move this out of the way. The other way to do this would be if you've downloaded the image, like for this tutorial, or you've saved an image into your downloads, you would come up to File, and you would scroll down to where you see the word Place. You would find that image in your Downloads folder, click Place, and when you bring it in, it's going to kind of follow your cursor around until you click one time. Then it drops it in. From here, you can hold down Shift and resize it. Remember, we hold down Shift to keep it in proportion. Then we'll go ahead and click the word Embed so that it places it into our document. Now we want to lock it into place so that when we trace around it, it doesn't move. So we'll make sure that it's selected. We will come up to Object. We will choose Lock Selection. Control 2 is the keyboard shortcut. Now if we try to move it, it does not go anywhere. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our pen tool. And we're going to come down to our fill and stroke color. And right now I have a white fill and no stroke. So I'm actually going to choose the little toggle arrow because I'm going to start by outlining it with a white stroke because I'll be able to see that on this dark color, and no fill so that it doesn't interfere with my ability to see my image. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to start tracing. So I'm going to click, hold, drag, release, click that center point. And I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. So it's not going to be a really pretty, perfect tracing. You would obviously take your time to do this a little more carefully. Okay. And you guys have gotten into the habit of click, hold, drag, release, and then come back and click the center point. Okay. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. And you can always hold down Alt at any point and scroll up to zoom in to make it a little bit easier to see the edge of the image that you're trying to trace. You can hold down the space bar and notice my cursor turns into a Mickey Mouse glove. And that allows me to move around my image while I'm in the zoomed in mode. So that might be helpful. And again, as you can see, I'm not doing a really clean job of tracing. That's just because I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can for the sake of this tutorial. But do notice I am still trying to curve my lines because Spider-Man is a human / superhero, and he has organic lines. He does not have jagged edged features. Okay, if at a certain point you make a mistake like this, you can hit Control Z and backstep, then click on the anchor point that you made last, and you can continue. I'm going to Alt scroll out. You are welcome to fast forward until I finish the outline. Or you can kind of just watch where I'm doing my anchor point placement just to see how I'm creating anchor points, curving my lines, and moving on. And when I go to the edge, I'll make sure I reconnect with that first anchor point. Alt scroll out, hold down the space bar to recenter, or I can hit Control-0. And now I can come back to my fill and stroke color and toggle my fill and my stroke and just kind of make sure that my outline looks good enough. And if I had done a better job of taking my time, this would have looked even cleaner, in particular near the hands and the feet. But I didn't do a bad job. So now I'm going to toggle back so that it's a fill, it's a 0 fill and just stroke color. I'm going to zoom into his eyes. I'm going to click the selection tool to deselect what I've just created and then come back to my pen tool. And now I'll click black so that I'm outlining his eyes with black. And then when we're done, we can always come in and adjust any of the colors that we've created. Come back over here now, trace this. Come back to my selection tool, deselect. Sorry, it froze on us. Okay, it's working again. So what I'd like to do now is come up to my selection tool so that I can deselect by clicking on the outside. And now none of my outlines are currently selected. I'm going to hit Control-0 so I can see my entire thing. And with my selection tool selected, I'm going to first click on the edge of my outline of Spider-Man. And I'm going to use my toggle arrows to fill my Spider-Man with white. And maybe I will switch that fill color from white to red. Okay. Now I'm going to come into each of the eye areas of his mask, and I'm going to toggle again. Click on the edge, right? If you try and click in the middle, nothing happens. So you got to click the outline, the edge. And once again, I'll toggle. So now that it's filled, got my red body and I've got the black eyes. Let me see what it looks like in white though. I think I might like this better. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now what I want to do is actually remove the image because I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to come up to Object and I'm going to choose Unlock All. And now I'm going to take that image, move it out of the way, click Delete because I don't need it. Now I'm going to do is drag my arrow around my Spider-Man, selects all 3 of the areas that I've already outlined. I can group them together if I'd like, and then holding down Shift, I can resize him, position him somewhere on my project so that I could go forward and add any other elements or objects or text that I would want to move forward. What I'd like for you guys to do is go ahead and select him, hold down Shift, increase the size, center it on your page. Choose a color scheme that works. If you don't want him to be red or you don't want his eyes to be white, you're welcome to choose 2 other colors. But go ahead and go up to File to save as the Illustrator file into your documents, and you can call him Spider-Man. Trace. We'll hit Save. and okay. And then we'll go up and we will also export him as a JPEG. Check use artboards. He's already called Spider-Man Trace and he's going into our documents. We'll click export. I'm going to switch this to RGB and make sure this says hi. Click OK. And now you're ready to go ahead and turn this in.